Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. Right, and welcome back to another episode of Topper Talk Podcast. As always, we thank you for downloading and listening to every episode. As always, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Topper_Talk and watch all of our video episodes on YouTube at Topper Talk Podcast. Before we get started, I do want to talk about our sponsor, that is the Fireman Moving Company. They are the sponsor of this episode. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by the firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move anytime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Now, I want to jump into this episode because I'm super excited. We've got a big guest on. This has been brewing for a few weeks now as we've got to talk and know each other and kind of setting this interview up. We've got a track and field athlete, Kaison Barton, joining us. Kaison, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on, man. Been a while.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Now, you're a senior from Sims, Alabama. Obviously, you're on the track team. As I've gotten to know you and follow you now on social media, you're obviously a thrower. You're throwing a lot of heavy objects around, man. So I guess tell me about your, what you do on the track and field team, and your specialty, and how you got into it.
Yeah. So, like you said, I'm a thrower, and there's kind of there's four main events as people look at it, and there's the shot put, hammer, discus, and javelin. And I started out in college. I was mostly a shot putter at first. That's kind of what I was recruited on for, like, out of high school and stuff like that. And then towards the end of my senior year of high school, I started throwing the hammer with my club coach, and it translated pretty well up here. And then I kind of put it on the back burner for shot put for a while. And then over the past couple of years, I kind of fell more in love with the hammer. So I've been spending more time on that for sure. But yeah, so I'm a thrower, and I mostly specialize in the hammer.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I've gotten to follow you. I see your videos. I see your daily quotes, like inspirational stuff. I love to see that. And obviously, we met a few weeks ago through a mutual friend, kind of at an event, and you were really excited to kind of get the opportunity to join us and to share your story, your journey, and everything you've gone through, and have hopefully loved and enjoyed about Western Kentucky. And really, when you shared that with me, it really excited me, because I think this platform and this podcast, now, as we've done one other athlete interview, we just recently did a coach interview, but I think what we're doing and sharing here should be an awesome avenue to let the fans and the people that follow us and listen to us really get to know, the student athletes better than just following you on social media or just keeping up with, the recaps of meets. So I'm really excited to have you join us and let you tell your story and just really just put it into your own words, and tell just your whole experience from coming to Western, which is what we're talking about next. So I want to, I guess, throw it back to your high school days. Obviously, I guess I want to hear about how you got into, the track, and what made you fall in love with track and field, and specifically throwing. What made you realize, like, oh, I'm good at this. I think your junior year, I think you finished fourth in state in the discus, maybe. Then your senior year, I think you're a runner up. So obviously you were really good, to be a top two in your state. So I guess kind of what led to, that realization happening for you, and what made it click and that light go off in your head for your journey that's now led you, to many places here at Western.
Yeah, so actually before high school, um, and like my whole sports background, I was mostly a football and baseball player. I grew up playing baseball and football. And then when we got to middle school, we had a track team. And my dad, he was a thrower in high school as well. And he was like, hey, you need to go throw the shot put. Because I was a bigger kid. We all thought I was going to be some enormous guy. And unfortunately, um, just under that 6 foot barrier. But um, he was like, you should go on the track team. And I said, no. I said, I'm not doing track. I'm not going to run. I'm not doing none of that. And he was pretty disappointed, I think. Um, but I was pretty good at football, so I wanted to kind of pursue that. And then um, I got to high school, and I was like, you know what, I want to do something else other like with football as well. So I tried out for basketball, and like I said, I'm not even 6 foot, so that didn't go very well. I made the team, and then I got dunked on a Saturday morning as a freshman, and I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. Um, but so I figured I would try track, and I didn't even make the team my freshman year. So I kind of was like, okay, well, maybe it's not for me. And we had a coaching change, and he was actually is shout out Coach Cubic. He was the defensive coordinator for us and at our high school football team, and he kind of put it in my mind like, hey, you should come try out. My dad was always egging me on about it, so I did. Um, and I didn't know what I was doing at all. I was just kind of shuffling and throwing the shot put, and we were like, okay, let's give it a shot. Um, and so we go on through my freshman year, and I remember my first track meet ever, I threw 35 feet 10 inches, which if you know anything about track, that is terrible. It was just purely because I was kind of strong. And then I threw the discus like 56 feet, which is also terrible. Um, so we had that come down as our first meet. And then over the season goes, me and my dad were working together, watching YouTube videos and stuff. And I ended up throwing 43 feet in the shot and then 123 in the discus by the end of that year. And I made it to state in the discus, as kind of, it's called a wild card. So I didn't make it in like the rankings of sectionals, but I made it because I was the next best, like over the top, I think 12 in state or something like that. So I got the wild card. I went and did terrible, but it was a learning experience and all that. And I was grateful for it. But so fast forward to my junior year, we uh, we my school had an indoor team, but the only indoor facility was in Birmingham, which was about 4 hours north of us, and nobody really cared about track. At least like the athletes did and the coaches did, but it wasn't worth like taking a 4 hour drive. So we had to. Me and my dad were like, well, we want to go to some indoor meets and get try to get a state championship or something. So we had to convince one of my coaches to like meet us up in Birmingham. I signed up like completely by myself and taught my coach how to do it, or well, kind of walked him through how to do it because he hadn't really done indoor before. And so I went and I threw like 40 feet, 44 feet, trying to get back into it. And I met a friend of mine. His name's Harrison Dimmick. He went to throw at the University of Alabama for a year or two, and now he's doing bigger and better things. But I met him, and we started following each other on social media. And he was already one of the top throwers in the state, and he was my age. And we immediately clicked. And he was talking to me about this private coach that he had, somebody that he kind of did lessons with and stuff like that. And Harrison's from Birmingham, but he was driving 4 hours to Mobile, like 2 or 3 times a week to train with this guy. So I was like, okay, well, Mobile is where I live. Like, give me his contact information. And he had also trained a former javelin thrower that went to my high school. So I had kind of heard about him. And then I saw what Harrison could throw. And I was like, okay, yeah, I kind of want to do this. And my dad was really stoked for it. So that was like, I want to say that was like early February because it was at state championships, indoor state championships, when we really talked about it. And then within like 3 days, I was at a lesson. And my coach's name was Gabor Mate. He was a 3-time Olympian for Hungary in the discus throw. He was a former NCAA record holder in the discus through 66 meters, which is about 218 feet, I believe. and he was a freak, man. He's like, I don't know, 6'9",
Can,
6'8", something like that.
for reference, can you tell us how much the shot put and the discus and the hammer? You told me earlier. How
Yeah.
much do those things weigh that you're
So
throwing 200 feet?
So the discus, it's since it's more of like a European sport, they do everything in meters and kilometers and stuff. So the discus that you throw in college is 2 kilos, which is 4.4 pounds. And then the shot put is 7.26 kilos, as well as the hammer. So they're both 16 pounds. And then like the javelin's like 800 grams or something like that. I don't really throw javelin, but so it's pretty heavy to be throwing
It's
almost
impressive.
220 feet.
Impressive.
Very impressive, yeah. So, but yeah, so he accomplished all that. He had went to the University of Auburn, and through there set multiple NCAA set a record and won many championships and stuff. So we worked together for my junior year and then my senior year as well. And one of his biggest things is he wanted me to stop being a football player, stop not being a football player, but stop thinking like a football player. Because when you play football, it's all hard contact, and you got to be aggressive and stuff. And then and track and throwing, it's more of just like you're a ballerina, man. You got to know the technique. You have to be balanced. And so I came at it with a hard headed approach and really got nowhere. I was trying to muscle it all the time and all that, and he kind of sat me down and talked, and we had days when we were out there in the field for 8 hours, which is like crazy. But it was me and him and some of the other guys that I trained with, and we were all on board that we wanted to like do something, because the state of Alabama hasn't really had like a great track. I mean, track as far as well as running, like they were okay, but the throws were like really low, not like historically. So we knew that like we were the dominant group of Alabama as a state, and we wanted to do something about it. So we always would just grind it out together, and so we all learned and took a step back and wanted to really learn how to do it properly. So we did, and I went, like I said, I threw 35 feet my first track meet ever, and then unfortunately COVID hit my senior year, so I didn't have a senior season. But in practices and stuff, I was throwing over 60 feet, which was pretty cool to see. That was a goal of mine, to throw 60 feet. And then in the discus, I threw 166 feet, and I was throwing around 180-ish whenever I was in my senior season. And I think we had 8 state champions in our one little throws group, as far as like from each division: javelin, discus, all that. And it's only carried on and had more of them. So that's pretty much how I got into it.
Yeah, that's impressive, man. I mean, just that whole journey, like, I mean, having to, kind of make your mind up and driving to Birmingham and then finding a guy like kind of semi local to you there in Mobile, um, and then linking up with him. And he, I mean, former Olympian, NCAA record holder. I mean, that's an impressive person that you got to link up with. So you talked about COVID, and that obviously kind of impacted your senior year. I'm sure it impacted your recruiting. And we talked to another athlete that kind of went through that same thing. COVID hit. He had an injury as well. Coaching changes, like that stuff can kind of really throw off your opportunities that you have. So, what did it look like for you as a track and field athlete? That's non-revenue, total different ball game than basketball, where you've got a ton of film. There's summer stuff, there's workouts that you can do, or even football where you may have previous year's tape. How did that look for you as a track and field athlete, as far as figuring out your recruiting and where you wanted to go for college, and ultimately landing at WKU? Kind of how did that process work itself out, and what ultimately attracted you to coming to Bowling Green in Western Kentucky?
Yeah, so like you said, COVID definitely did have a lot of effect on um, my just overall recruitment. Fortunately enough, I was able to have a senior indoor season, and that's where I was state runner up. And then I got two meets in one weekend of outdoor, and I threw personal best, but it was like I hadn't thrown very well my junior year, so they were improvements, but I could have thrown way farther. I threw 56 feet in the shot and like 166 in the discus, and like I said, I was throwing a lot farther than that in practice. So um, the more or less, it was kind of difficult just because I didn't have those numbers officially that coaches could kind of look up and see. So I had to do a lot of reaching out myself. I remember senior year, once the season got canceled, I just remember sitting in class and I emailed every coach in the Sun Belt, every coach in the American Conference, Conference USA, the MAC, um, and then I messaged a lot of Division II, like the Gulf South Conference and stuff like that. I probably sent over, I'd say 300 emails to college coaches, and it was just copy and paste and like, hey, this is what I do, this is who I am. But a lot of them, they would message me back, and then like, maybe they had already done their recruiting for the year because of COVID. And a lot of them, I remember I was talking to TCU, and they were saying that they didn't know what they would have to do because they were going to have all these seniors coming back for another year because their season just got canceled. So they didn't know where to allocate that money to new people, to like returners. And I know that was the same way with a lot of people. I went on a visit to BYU as well, and they were kind of in the same boat. They just didn't really know. Um, so the one thing that stood out for me was the high school season got canceled before the college season did. So they were still throwing and competing like Western Kentucky was, kind of like just as we had found out that our season was canceled. I think something around like that timeline. But Coach Chumley, who's the track and field coach and throws coach at Western, had reached out to my coach, or my coach had reached out to him. Somehow they were in contact, and Coach Chumley was coming down to look at my buddy Harrison. And so, and I guess me too. He says me too, but I was like, I know you were coming for Harrison. Um, so Coach Chumley actually had drove a bus of kids to Birmingham from Bowling Green, so 4 hours to go to conference championships. He then drives back from Birmingham to Bowling Green, gets in his truck, and drives 8 hours to Mobile to come to our practice on a Sunday. And it was like my 18th birthday. And I had like one of the best throwing sessions of my life, like while he was there. And it was really cool. It was kind of the first time that head coach had came and like expressed interest in me, just because I was surrounded by like very, very good athletes. So it was really cool, and I was glad that I was able to like. I'd always had a problem with going to big meets and like kind of getting psyched out, and this was like a scholarship on the line, and I did as well as I did. So we talked the next day, and he offered me a scholarship, and I was like, okay, well, we'll see. And then I didn't talk to him again. This was like late February, early March. I don't think I talked to him again until like April. But I called him and I committed, and yeah, that's how I ended up at Western.
Man, that's an awesome story, and honestly, it sounds like fate. I mean, the fact that Coach came down to Birmingham, doubled back to Bowling Green, and then doubled back down to Mobile, which is at the southern tip of Alabama. Like, that's insane. Coming to see your buddy or coming to see you, like either way. I mean, it was meant to be. Obviously, you've been at Western now for a couple years and have got to experience the college side of athletics, and just competing, and just being here on campus, just enjoying just the everyday, the social, the academic side of things. So, what has your college experience been like up to this point, just in all facets, just not just athletically, but just overall? What has WKU been like for you as you've been on campus?
Honestly, WKU has been like such a great like resource for me. my first 2 years, I was really just trying to figure out how to balance school and track. In high school, like I didn't really have to try too hard, and I kind of got away with it. And then I come to college, and I was like, okay, maybe I want to like take this seriously. Like I'm getting school, paid for, and I was like, might as well take this opportunity and do something with it. So I goofed off a little bit my freshman year. I kind of let my grades slip a little bit. Not too bad, but a little bit under what I wanted to be. And then my freshman year indoor conference, we had like a snow week, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, it's your birthday," because it was. He's like, "Let's go sledding." So I was like, "Okay, let's do it, man. Let's go. We'll go have fun, whatever." So I ended up going sledding, and I hit a tree, and I dislocated my shoulder and concussed myself. And at that time, I was like top 3 in the conference as a freshman, true freshman. Most of these guys were, super seniors or whatever. And so we go to conference, and Coach Chumley was, needless to say, not too happy with me. And we go, and I was ranked second going in, I believe, and I finished 13th because I had been throwing decently that week, even after I hurt myself. And then a mixture of that and just kind of like self-doubt and stuff got to me. And I remember I was just sitting there moping and crying, and he came up to me and he was like, "Dude," he's like, "just let it go." He's like, "You still got another 3 years. You got another conference championship later this year. Like, you're going to be fine." And so we went, and I placed second at the conference championships outdoor. As a true freshman, the only person that beat me was a 5th-year senior, which was pretty cool. But then I started taking things a little bit more seriously. I think I was like, I kind of want to. I see I can do well with this, and so I kind of got back more into it, and I wanted to be more involved. My junior year, or my sophomore year, was kind of the same. Still just track and school. And then my coach had put in for me to be a part of the student athlete advisory committee. So that's where they send 2 representatives from each team, and you kind of go and plan events and do stuff like that, kind of for the betterment of just like the student athlete life, playing community service events and stuff like that. So that was kind of my first step into like involvement on campus. My junior year, I came back and I joined a fraternity. I'm no longer in it. Just due to some personal reasons, but that was probably one of the best things that I've done since I've came to college. I built so many like great friendships and guys that will be in my wedding one day, and that kind of helped me take a step back from track in a way and kind of like get away from it for a little bit, because I was kind of obsessing over it, and while that's like a good thing, it was kind of taking a toll on me, because I was like wanting instant gratification, I'd say, and I'd have a bad throw and I'd be my hardest, like, competitor, I guess. I would talk myself down a lot. And that just kind of let me get away from it, have friends outside the team. And then I was just motivated by a lot of the guys in there that were super involved on campus. So this year I joined the Student Government Association. I was appointed by our student body president, and I serve as a senior senator on the student government. And I'm also the secretary of the Outreach and Student Experience Committee within SGA. And then I'm also the male representative of the SGA for the University Athletic Committee. So that's like, I mean, I've never been more involved ever, even in high school. Like, I played sports and was on homecoming court. That was about it. But I really like it because I've noticed, like, over my years at Western, that sometimes the athletes are heard, but there's like not some action taken, just because, and that's really everywhere. So I kind of wanted to put myself in a position where I can really help get everybody heard, and we can do whatever we need to be able to do to perform at our highest level. And I think that's where I kind of want to try to help our student body and our student athlete body as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to put yourself out there and try so many new things, student government and the student athlete outreach that you did. Just one, you're in college, you're super young, but you're putting yourself out there in uncomfortable situations. You're networking, you're meeting people that you don't realize it now, but these are going to be people and friends and just networks of people that you touch you for the rest of your life. And I think it's amazing that you've set yourself up that way. I'm also super impressed that your freshman year, true freshman year, you finished second in the conference coming off an injury, and you were just kind of you weren't even super serious. It sounds about, sounds like you finished second in conference. Then you're like, wait a minute, I'm pretty good at this. I think maybe I should dedicate my time to this. So that's um, just it's really impressive. It's I love to hear the involvement, especially from the student side of things. The athlete part of things I love. Any student, any athlete that comes to Western Kentucky and puts this WKU across their chest, I'm always going to be a fan of. I'm always going to cheer for you. I'm going to wish the best for you because you chose to come here. You could have went a lot of different places, especially in today's transfer portal world, NIL world. I'm sure even you have had opportunities probably to go somewhere else if you wanted to. So what I guess in this new look of college athletics and NIL, kind of what's your outlook on just that bigger picture of college athletics and how it affects everyone? Has it had any pull or any bind or any effect on you in the track and field world in any way?
Yeah, so NIL is like a man. It's tricky to talk about because it's like you got it. You're either on one side of it or you're not. I remember whenever it came out and was kind of like released to us right after my freshman year. And people like there were some companies that say that they were doing a name, image, and likeness thing, and when you think about that, you think like you're getting paid. But there's some things where it's like they say it's NIL, but it's really you're just like posting their products for them, and like people got to buy a bunch of their product for you to even like see anything, right? And then there's the other side where it's you can be a stud football player and you're just going to get money thrown at you, and they'll maybe label it as NIL. And unfortunately enough, we don't have that luxury in track and field unless you're like the TikTok star or just you know other things, you can kind of capitalize off of it. But there's been a couple opportunities for me that I've been able to do. I have a deal with Buffalo Wild Wings here in Bowling Green, um, kind of just you kind of like a quid pro quo kind of thing. Like you post this on your Instagram, your social media, and say, what's up? Come meet at Buffalo Wild Wings. They'll give me some free food every now and then, and buff wings are my favorite food. So I was beyond ecstatic when I got that. I was super happy. When I've had another opportunity with Hank Wilson, with the student athlete real estate collective and stuff like that, and real estate something I've been passionate about for ever since I was a freshman in high school. So I've been able to talk to Hank about that. I'm in the process of getting my real estate license now, which is huge, especially as somebody who hasn't even graduated college yet. So it's good if it's taken the right approach. Sometimes it does seem like it's pay to play. Sometimes you see all these these college kids and high school kids making six figures up to $1 million, and it's like, dang, maybe I should have learned how to throw a football or something.
Yeah, I mean, the NIL. I mean, you're right. It's pay to play in a lot of avenues in sports, and obviously there's a lot of loopholes and a lot of cleaning up that the NCAA needs to do on that front. But obviously, I know you met Hank and was presented with a pretty awesome opportunity that I think is going to be um, kind of a win-win for a lot of athletes across the board, not just at WKU but non-revenue sports. across the nation. I really think it's a game changer, kind of what he's bringing to the table and where that might go in the future. And like I said, I follow you now on social media, Instagram specifically, and I get to watch you throw the hammer. I'm assuming because you're doing a lot of spinning and a lot of throwing, something I know that I couldn't do personally. But I really love the positivity and just the focus on your training that you put out there. I love the quote of the day that you put out there, that positive, people that are following you are seeing that. And I think what you put out there into the world is what you're going to get back from it. And you put out a really positive vibe. So, you know, at this point in your life, and obviously you're still 21, you're still young, you've got a lot of things to do and figure out in this world before you're really know what you're going to do in life. But what are your plans right now for, I guess, your immediate future? Post college, post track and field. Kind of what are your plans as you grow yourself as a person, just beyond the college Kaison Barton?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that about kind of positivity and kind of spreading it around. Um, One thing about me is that's like a new kind of side of me, I think. Whenever I was younger and stuff, I definitely could see myself as like selfish and cocky and stuff like that. Um, Maybe like, and I tried to be as humble as possible. And I wasn't like a jerk to people, but I kind of let my ego kind of get to my head a little bit. And then I was named team captain last year. And I think I kind of sat back and realized I had to talk with my dad, and he was like, "You know what that means now? Is like you got to be an example for these kids." And then recently, I just kind of doing some deep thinking and stuff, and I thought, like negativity is something that I've always brought on myself in sports, and it's always directly caused me to like perform bad and all that. So I was like, why don't I just take for this year, and if it don't work, we'll figure something else out. Just anytime something negative comes around, just walk away. Just walk away and focus on yourself. You can be selfish in a good way. You can make sure that you're doing what's best for you. And I did that. And I think one thing that you mentioned, the quote of the day, I love doing that because I'm able to put a message out there that I didn't even write. I just go copy and paste it from Google, and I just put it out there. And I have people responding to me saying, "Hey, this really helped me today. Thank you for sharing this. I love it." And I was like, that's like something as easy as that. And I get to reach out to people. Um, like that's just something that I really like. I grew up in church, but never really had like a relationship with God. I didn't, didn't, I had some doubts as people do. And then recently, it kind of, I was doing some reading and just deep thinking and stuff. And I am happy to say I do have a relationship with him now. I think that's helping or has been helping me lately kind of see these opportunities for what they are, and being able to kind of set myself up for what I want to be able to do. And going back to your question on what it is that I want to do, I have no idea, but I know I want to do something in the business world, whether it's start my own business, real estate with Hank. He gave me that great opportunity. And I've been passionate about that for a while, and I'm really excited to see what doors that opens for me. Um, but I think more than anything, I just kind of want to like help people. I want to be in a position to where I'm in a leadership position of a company or of organization, something where what I do directly affects people in need or people who are struggling with mental health problems or something like that. Um, and I've one of those things, mental health. I always thought mental health was an excuse. Whenever I was coming into college, that was kind of the big um, a big word being thrown around. It was kind of a new thing. And I always thought about it as an excuse. I was like, oh, you're saying, your mental health is bothering you. And then I started dealing with some of that stuff. And it was like, okay, well, this is what these people are talking about. Instead of, hating on them and being like, hey, like, suck it up, which is, I think, where kind of the football mindset came in. You get hit hard and you're a little dizzy. Your coach is like, get back in there. But I think I'm taking kind of the track aspect to it, doing a little bit more carefully. And I was able to, kind of appreciate more of that, like, and be able to help other people and talk to them when they are struggling, and sharing some of the things that I've, gone through. Um, and my roommate, Julian Clinner, he's also on the track team, and Luke Stegman, they've been there for me a lot. We've been able to talk about some deep stuff and, shed a few tears together. But like, that's one thing that I want to kind of project for the rest of my life. Whatever I do is kind of help people. And yeah, so.
I think no matter where your path leads you, I think you have the right outlook on things. I think you're looking at the glass half full. And I think that as you grow older, you'll see that um, there's not really such a thing as luck. There's such a thing as being prepared when a good opportunity presents itself. I think where you position yourself, and that's, the mindset that you bring, the energy that you bring, the people that you surround yourself with. If you're surrounding yourself with positive people that are building you up to help you grow as a person, you're going to find yourself in positions of leadership and of growth, um, and just have a successful life and wherever that leads you. And I don't mean successful as in making a lot of money. I mean successful as being happy, being around good people, being a good person, creating a good family, a good environment, for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for your friends. I don't think those things happen by mistake. And I think, your positive outlook on things, whether if that's a new facet of your personality and your outlook, it's impressive, because to me it just looks like a natural thing, in the time that I've known you, that you project out there, and it just seems like who you are. And I really appreciate that. Like I said earlier, I'll always appreciate any athlete, any student athlete, because I understand, just from my little time talking to a few student athletes, what that time and energy that goes into, not only being a good student, because I was a student here at Western. I was not an athlete. And, when you said you're a freshman, you struggled a little bit, those grades dropped a little bit. Yeah, I get it. I've been there. I've done that. Had too much fun at Western. Took more than 4 years to graduate. I get it. So, I couldn't imagine balancing that student side and the athlete side, training and specializing in team and competing, training, injuries, etc., and just going through everything that you said you've dealt with, and then the mental health part of it. That is not just a stigma. That is obviously a real thing that over the last few years, has been taken a lot more seriously, and I think people are now really starting to wrap their heads around how it can affect everyone, how it does affect everyone. It's not kind of this secret that's tucked away into a closet or swept in, under a rug. It's a real conversation that people are having, and that's a good thing. As more people will talk about that, I think, we'll all start to appreciate it for what it is, and that we all struggle with those thoughts, those ideas, those demons, whatever we're going through. It hits us all and it impacts us all. So, one, I want to say thank you for not only your time here with me today, tonight, but for just choosing to come to Western Kentucky, choosing to represent our university, your university, this community, um, and just spreading your light of positivity, touching and now mentoring other athletes that are now, you're kind of the elder statesman now as you're a senior. You got some young kids under you that are looking up to you. And I could tell when we met that first time in that meeting room, there at the Hardball Club, that, everybody kind of turned to you and was like, okay, what's going on? Let's look to Kaison. What are we doing here? What's next? So, I can appreciate that quality about you. I can tell that you're a natural leader, and that whatever you do going forward in your life, whether it be more track and field, getting into real estate, the business world, whatever you choose to put your mind to, you're going to have success with it if you continue to be positive on your outlook in life, and set yourself up for whatever opportunity may come your way. So I do appreciate your time, not only here, but as a student athlete at Western, and for representing this university with great class and just in such a positive manner. So, before we get out of here, I always I'm going to give my co-host, which is you today, I'm going to give you an opportunity to kind of leave us with any final words you got. I'd love to hear from you. Plug your socials. Let us know where to follow you, where to find you. Then take us out of here with a go Tops.
Yeah, you kind of hit on my like leadership ability and people kind of looking to me for the answer, but I also don't want to take all the credit either. Um, we have a team this year. It's the biggest team I've ever been a part of. Um, it's 70 people on a track team. Yeah, it's co-ed, so there's boys and girls, but um, a lot of people say track's an individual sport, and when you're in the ring or whether you're running your own race, it is, but it's still a team and it's still a family. And our family that we have is this year, it's been the best that it's ever been since I've been in college. Um, I'm not the only team captain. You have Grace Turner, who's an excellent pole vaulter and high jumper. You have Katie Eisenbarger, who's a two-time All-American high jumper and volleyball player. And Lucy Rutherford, she's the cross country team captain, and they've all helped me, so much as well. I really look up to like Grace and Katie and Lucy, trying to figure out some things. If I need help with something, or if Coach Chumley's assigned me to do something and I don't know what to do, I reach out to them and look for help, and they do the same with me. Um, but it's really more of like I definitely couldn't have done this by myself, and I'm thankful that Coach Chumley and Coach Ackland and Coach Beck and all of our other coaches have gave me an opportunity to try to lead the team my best way is with my other team captains as well. Um, but there's kids that are on the team that don't get enough recognition for what they do, and they're leaders. Some are better leaders than I am. Um, so I always like to give credit where credit's due, and it's due to everybody on that team that goes out and busts their butt every day, in the weight room or on the track, in the training room, in the classroom, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, if I could give any advice to anybody listening that is kind of seeing what I do, is like just take the leap of faith. Um, don't be scared to be busy, but keep it in line. Make sure that your priorities are straight with whatever you're getting involved in. Um, but the only way that you're going to make change or make something happen, no matter what you're in, is if let your voice be heard. And I've noticed that a lot lately. And the more that you speak and the more you harp on things, somebody's going to hear it, and somebody's going to help you try to make that happen. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, man. Good final words, good final thoughts. And once again, uh, I appreciate you. We here at Topper Talking. I think I'm going to talk for all Hilltopper Nation. We appreciate you, Kaison, for coming on and talking to us and being such a good representative of this university. We
Thank you.
appreciate you so much, and go Tops.
Go Tops.
Later, guys.